small group leaders? Do you give them a new leader every single year? Or do you encourage leaders to stick with their students for the span of their entire season of youth ministry? In this episode, we have two youth pastors on two different sides of the debate, and they are going to go head to head, and you get to decide who won the argument. Welcome, everybody, to the Hybrid Ministry Show. Well, hey, everyone, welcome to the Hybrid Ministry Show. A couple weeks back, I posted this question. If you're watching here on screen, you can see it in the Download Youth Ministry Facebook group, which, by the way, if you're not in that group, you got to be in it. Go get a link in the description so that you can join. And I asked this question, and it was a spirited debate and a lot of different responses. And I picked two people who responded in there who had different opinions, and I asked them if they would be willing to hop on and present their side of the argument. Today, I have Isaac Leimeister, who is a middle school pastor, and I have Stephen Rose, who is a youth pastor, both from the same area, ironically, in the great state of Ohio, which is actually where I'm from as well. Promise you, I didn't do that on purpose. And they are going to go head to head and present their side of the argument, as well as have a spirited conversation. And we go back and forth. And the good thing is that they actually landed very close to the exact same spot, despite kind of how they're choosing to approach it in their current ministries. And so while it may not be the spiciest, biggest disagreement that you've ever seen on YouTube, I do think it's a really fruitful conversation, no matter where you are in youth ministry. So without any further ado, here's Isaac and here's Stephen. All right. Well, what is up, everybody? I'm sitting here with my new friends and old friends, Stephen and Isaac. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Good.
Doing great today.
Are you guys ready?
How are you, Nick?
Dude, I'm great. I'm great. Good. Never been better. Never had a clock as a fourth guest on my podcast before, so it's a first all the way around. I'm going to give each of you an opportunity to introduce yourself. And by random draw that happened off camera, Stephen, congratulations. You're selected with the first overall pick. All right. So let us know who you are. Let us know where you're at and give us anything that would be helpful or useful for us knowing like kind of what's going on in your context. Are you ready, my friend?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go.
Yeah. My name's Stephen. I am from Ohio, Northeast Ohio. I'm at a church called Crossroads, and I've been youth pastor for the last a little over 5 years, all at this church. And I came on during the COVID era, which was a unique time to start in youth ministry. And so our numbers were, really small at the time as well. And so I've been a part of God really like blessing our ministry and what's happening. And it got an awesome team, and we've grown from like 30 kids to start, and now we got over 80 like on a weekly basis, and which is exciting for our church. And we've got another staff member as well. I'm the next gen pastor, and we've got a middle school pastor as well that's come on the team. And so I love youth ministry, and I'll say right off the bat, I'm pro youth ministry through and through. And so even though we'll debate, I love people who love youth, and so I'm really excited about it.
All right. Well, Isaac, you're about to find out Isaac also has lived some of his days in the great state of Ohio as well. And fun little fact, I'm also from Ohio. So I didn't even plan this, but that's cool.
I did wear my Cavs shirt today.
Let's go.
So.
Nice. Hey, how was that game on Sunday? How'd you feel about that game on Sunday? Did you watch that one?
OKC?
Yeah.
I didn't watch much of it. But I saw we lost.
That's smart. Yeah, okay. I'm an OKC fan. So,
you're an OKC fan?
Yeah. I just have to talk a little bit of smack. Why wouldn't you be?
Yeah, right.
They have the best whistle in the league, I've heard.
Oh my! All right, Isaac, are we ready?
Oh, okay, here we go. Hey, my name is Isaac. I've been in youth ministry for 17 years now. So I'm feeling older, seeing a lot of the original students get married off and having kids. So that's fun. I'm also an Ohio guy. So I don't know if you're a Buckeye fan, but OH.
I know.
Yeah, I don't. Did Stephen freeze? I don't know, but that was for him. But you said it. Here's what I love about youth ministry. I love that. Really, we're going to have a debate today, but God has called you to a certain context to do a certain thing. And so I've worked in a small church, a medium church, and I'm currently at a large church. And I think that every single thing is like, well, what is God really calling you to do in that church and in that context? I love what we're doing here, and I believe in it. Can't wait to argue it. But yeah, excited for this.
All right, well, here we are. This is about to get really, really like real now, because we have two amazing youth pastors with two completely different points of view on what's best for small group student leadership. And so again, by random draw that you'll have to trust, because I'm a youth pastor, so I get paid to tell the truth. Isaac was randomly drawn to give his first 2-minute argument. So we're about to put 2 minutes on the clock. Isaac, are you ready?
All right, 2 minutes. Here we go. The key word that I'm looking at is discipleship. And what does discipleship really look like? And this is something that I've been kind of studying and learning about in my 17 years of youth ministry. And so I've changed and I've morphed, but I keep leaning more towards, man, let's really walk alongside these students. Here's some examples from the Bible. Jesus, he's come down and he's like, let me really pray over who I'm really going to invest in. Because he had other people that were interested in following him, but he said, no, I'm really going to invest in these 12. And he did that for 3 years. And then you have Paul and his relationship with Timothy, and he's being able to say things like, hey, Timothy, your grandmother, and he's naming family members and stuff, which I just don't think that you can do that in a year's time of knowing someone, that you really want to get into that. So discipleship really means relationship and knowing. How does someone come in and they're fully known and fully loved? So when you're with them longer, you know the students, you know their parents, you know the deaths that happen in their family, you know what sports they're involved in, you know the injury that set them back a few years prior. And so when they confess this thing, you go, oh, I know the meaning behind that because I've had this relationship with you for a while. I guess my main question that I would ask is, why don't we go and hire a new youth pastor every 1 year? You want a youth pastor to be there, and longevity breeds just this trust that parents now have. And I feel like as a youth pastor, I'm trying to equip other leaders to come in and essentially be youth pastors. And so I don't want to hire new youth pastors every year, because I want that trust and that relationship and that discipleship to happen. And that can only happen over a stretch of time and not hitting the reset button every single year.
Strong work, my man. Strong work. All right, Steven, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Awesome. Yeah, I love what you said about discipleship. Couldn't agree more. And for me, one of the things I think is so important, and what we really focus on in my context is helping students own their faith by the time they graduate. And there's been like some studies done where the more, not like infinitely, but the more adults, specifically the number was around 5. If you have 5 good relationships with adults who are like spiritual mentors or people that you know on at least a relatively deeper level, then you're much more likely to stick with the faith post-graduation. And I would argue that the reason for that is because their faith is hopefully being more grounded in Jesus than a specific leader, and they're rooted in Jesus. He is their firm foundation, not like an awesome leader or the youth pastor or something like that. And so when you move, not necessarily every year, but every so often, you're just more likely to build relationships with more adults, and I view that as a huge win. And so what I like to see is them build relationships, be really intentional in the year or the 2 years span that they're with that leader, and then really focus on the transition so they can then build a new relationship with new leaders. And the students stay together, so they're able to keep building those long-term relationships where they can grow alongside of each other. But the leaders can shift as far as small group goes. But the long-term relationships still stay the same. Just like a small group leader that I had when I was in 8th grade, I still got to talk to them later in later years, and they still knew me, and they still could pour into me, and and disciple me. And so the process can keep happening, even though we're still looking towards helping them meet more people and grow closer relationships with more people.
Now, with no time on the clock, we're just going to let Isaac and Stephen ask some questions kind of back and forth and ask some clarifications and figure out some more of like their context and what's going on. So let's dive into that part.
Perfect. So Isaac, I wonder, in your context, if a student doesn't get, like, we'll just say a student doesn't get along great with a certain leader, what does that look like? Like how do you go about that?
Yeah, man, that's great. Context, I think, matters a lot. So
I agree.
I've worked in a small church, a medium church, and a large church. So let's just talk about the numbers that I have here. It's weird to talk about that in church culture, but that helps context so much.
For sure.
So I have about 160 leaders, and in that, I have for sixth grade boys, we have 5 sixth grade boy groups. And then each one of those groups has 4 leaders. And so I think that helps so much for the person watching right now. They're like, oh, well, this might make sense because of this, and the dynamics can shift. Because for you saying, hey, does a sixth grade boy, if he's not enjoying this, then what? Well, he can move to another group. He can go to one of the other 4 options, and that's easy. Now, when I was at a church for 6.5 years, and it was like you have middle school boys, high school boys, middle school girls, high school girls. That's your option. Then it's like, well, what do we do when they don't like that person? And so for us in our context, it makes sense of if there's not someone getting along, there is another option and another group that they can go to.
Listen, these are the types of things that you as a youth pastor have to think about. Like, these are big philosophical, strategy-based decisions. And the fact is, you probably also know somehow in there that you are expected to and have an obligation to not neglect social media. You're like, it's probably important. My kids are probably on it. Maybe I got to do something with it. Listen, I get it. You're busy, which is why I've created the Hybrid Ministry Strategy Framework and the Seasonal Social Media Pack. The Hybrid Ministry Strategy Framework is free. You can check the link out down below. The Seasonal Social Media Pack is 3 months worth of following that same framework, but it gives you some posts and some post ideas. You're going to have to film some. You'll also just be able to download and post others. It helps you keep yourself on track so that you don't get sidetracked and you have the time that you need to debate these things, to think through these things, to pray about how you're going to make these decisions when it comes to small groups and small group leadership. So check out the link down below in the description if you want to up your game on social media.
Sure.
How do you guys, either of you, discern this is not a good fit and we need to quote unquote rescue the student from the fit, or this is an opportunity to lean in and disciple the student to push through something more difficult, and maybe getting along with their leader is like what God has for them in this season of their spiritual growth? Like, how do you discern between those two? Because I feel like a parent can come to you like they hate their leader and you want to like solve that so that the kid doesn't get mad or the family doesn't leave the church or whatever. But I think sometimes it's like, dude, you need to stop being so entitled. You know what I mean? How do you know?
Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, that's really good. For me, I tend toward having them stay either way, because I don't want for students just to pick a leader based off of, I love this leader, or I can't stand that leader, which, by the way, my team is awesome. I have awesome leaders, all that. And so it's really a side point. But of course, if it was like coming to an unhealthy place, then I would say I would be more willing to like figure it out. Or especially if it was like a newer student, who maybe isn't even a follower of Jesus yet. And I'm trying to help them get comfortable first, help them feel accepted and have a good experience. And so that'd be a little different if it's someone I've been walking with for a while. And then, hey, it's time for you to grow up and be mature about this and grow in your maturity. And part of that is definitely not being in your favorite spot at all times.
Yeah, that's good. I think that, Scripture says if at all possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. And if there's some kind of disunity there, obviously that's what the enemy is trying to seek out and bring to light, is some kind of disunity. So it's our jobs as the shepherds of that to say, well, what's causing this? And so it should start with a conversation with both student and leader and saying, why is there disunity, and how can we go towards unity? What's the conversation? Maybe you just need to say some things. Let's get it out on the table. Truth is going to be great. Let's get it out on the table. But if it becomes a thing, where it's like, well, we're not coming here, my kid doesn't want to show up, I'm even pro, well, there's also another church in town, because the gospel doesn't just happen at this address. It happens in a lot of places in discipleship. And so hopefully I am then connecting with other youth pastors in the area, where I can then give a trusted, hey, why don't you go over here to this church? Because this youth pastor is also going to teach the Bible. Discipleship is also happening. But I'm not nervous to, I don't want to say threaten. It's not threaten, but to give, go ahead. If you can't grow here, ultimately what we are concerned about for you as a student is your growth. Go grow anywhere. Stephen, I got a question for you, if I'm allowed to ask. Yeah, because I love what you said about having 5 good relationships with adults. Yes, man, let's try to, as youth pastors, bring in as many adults and as many leaders as possible in their time of being there. What does it look like in your context for how many leaders do you have in each group? Yeah, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, we have 2 leaders in each group, and so I over time, you would naturally develop relationships with multiple. Hopefully and prayerfully, you would develop relationships with your small group leaders in that time. And for us, we're in, I guess, the medium church size, and so like for high school, for example, we have 2 high school guys groups, underclassmen and upperclassmen currently, and so you would meet 4 of the people right then and there, and then hopefully like even like myself and some other people, because certainly our youth ministry is not the only context which you can have a relationship with with an adult, but as far as what we're trying to do, it works, it fits that mold pretty well.
Yeah. So when you say upperclassman leader and what is it called? Underclassman?
Underclassman.
Yeah. Underclassmen? That just sounds underwear. Anyhow, when you have both the upperclassmen, are you saying then that those 2 leaders are with them for 2 years?
Yes.
Okay. So it's kind of like a hybrid then of, I'm not thinking every year. I'm still kind of building this. I'm in this context. So it's still because for me, I don't even know if I'm pro, you should be with them for 7 years.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I do like for me, 3 years of middle school, you get a new high school leader, because there's just a difference between high school and middle school.
Right.
If there is someone that's committed for 7 years, my hope is that they are bringing in dads, moms, and other people too, because I think that what you said is key. They need to have 5 adults in their life or more,
right,
where they can say, oh, it's not just one person that believes this. It's not just their characteristics, but that in discipleship, they are inviting others to be a part of it as well. If you're going to do that 7-year plan.
And I'll just say, from a youth pastor, logistical standpoint, you get someone to commit for 7 years, that's amazing. Are they still committed to loop back down and start a 6th grade group? Going from being a 12th grade leader to a 6th grade leader is tough. And so I've been in situations where they're committed all the way through, but then I'm always having to recruit at the entry point because no one wants to loop back down. They feel like they've quote unquote done their time, and they want to be involved in student ministry, but then they want to be involved in more of like a consulting role or a coaching role. And it's like, I love that for you, but I really could use a 6th grade leader, my friend. And so that's been my experience when they loop all the way through, as we pool all the way down at the end of the quote unquote conveyor belt, if you will. And I got some really great leaders who aren't doing ministry anymore. But if you're doing, if you're like, yo, you're the underclassmen leader, and you're just going to be an expert in 9th and 10th grade. Like, and then you'll see every kid's face, hopefully, as they loop through.
I mean, Nick, you kind of set us up. You're like, haha, caught you. You're in a trap. Come and debate this. And so I'm gonna, share the perspective of everyone wins, I guess, because here's what I would rather see. If this is a would you rather question of, would you rather have one leader who intentionally disciples a student for 1 year, or have a leader that walks alongside and invests in a student for 7 years? I would say give me the 1 year intentionally disciple, because so often we recruit leaders that they won't say, oh, I'm just a babysitter. They're not going to say that. We're not going to say that. But if you're like, oh, we're just hanging out, I'm going to their games, and they're doing some good things, but they're not intentionally discipling, we're still missing out. And so I would say that the key thing for me is find a leader that's going to disciple, which means that they are really getting in and saying, do you know Jesus? What is he teaching you? Are you opening up the word of God? Are you praying? Are you building a community around you? Where are you serving? How's your evangelism life? And they're really working out all of these disciplines. And it's more than just, let me show up to your play. Let me high five and we'll go get coffee together. Because you can just hang out, but you're not just being friends. You're intentionally discipling. So give me the 1 year intentional disciple.
That's good. That's good for youth pastors. That's good for that's good for this whole conversation, just like having like a well-rounded perspective of it. It's bad for trying to elicit emotion and you guys like hating each other. So way to be a Christian, way to ruin YouTube.
Yeah.
But no, I agree.
He's a Cavs fan. This is great. We love each other. We're best friends now. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Congratulations. Yeah. Well, let's do like your final statement, right? We'll just do a minute on the clock or less. Just give like your final word, kind of like put a bow on it, and then then I guess we'll take it from there. So who went first last time? I think it was Isaac, right? So Stephen, we'll have you minute on the clock. Finalize your argument. You ready?
Yep.
All right, let's go.
All right, so I believe that transitioning through different small groups is best for students because they get to build multiple relationships with adults, which helps them own their faith, not just the youth's faith or my faith or their leader's faith, but their faith in Jesus. And so I think it's best to move them through. And then I also, as a side note, I think it can create a spot for leaders to star in their roles where, hey, if I'm always with freshman girls, then I'm going to be able to really get good at welcoming them. Or if I'm always with the senior and junior guys, I'm going to get really good at helping them through this transition as they get older, as their problems change, but they kind of are the same perpetually for new juniors, new seniors. And so they get to start starring in their roles as they get year after year of experience with them.
Awesome. Quantity will produce quality. The more that you're hanging out with someone, the better the conversations. And so getting someone there for a length of time, it's gonna produce the quality that we're looking for. It avoids the 6 month, like, oh, do I actually know this person? Can I make that inside joke? I accidentally said something about their parents or whatever, all their life story. The more opportunity that you have with their story, the more that they can feel fully known, fully seen, and fully loved, which really, I think, just shows grace more, discipleship more, and what Jesus was really trying to aim for when he said, this is what a disciple maker looks like.
So there you go. Do you side with Isaac or do you side with Stephen? Let us know down below by posting the corresponding emoji. But until next time, my friends, and as always, don't forget to stay hybrid.